Hello, everyone. This is Nathan from Not Game All Personal. If you are watching this, listening to this, here's the deal. This is the first time we ever did a live recording in person together. And with that, a lot of mistakes were made, a lot of lessons learned. We had quite a few technical difficulties. You will notice cameras running out of batteries, going in and out of focus, a lot of audio issues that we tried to clean up in post. We did the best we could, okay? I think there's still something here to work with. Not our best product. We had about an hour and 10 minutes recorded that we had to cut down to just over 40 minutes, if that gives you an idea of how much was unusable. However, I still think it's worth listening and watching. And don't worry, next week we will be back online where we feel safe, comfortable, and know how to properly record. Thank you for your patience. Here we go.
Good evening, I'm Julie Chen.
Wake up, everybody!
But first,
I cannot. On my daughter's birthday. Disgusting. Anybody want cake?
I want to welcome you guys all to my big brother funeral.
Can't find an individual to hate because I hate you all.
Welcome to Not Game All Personal. Hey, we are a Big Brother podcast here to talk about all things Big Brother, more specifically, the events of this past week. I'm Nathan. This is Tony for the first time ever live.
Yeah, first time for anything we've actually released.
That's true. We do have somewhere that.
Celebrity Big Brother 1.
Yeah, I want to say it was 2.
Yeah.
And I think I did try to find that like a year or two ago, and I don't know where it is.
I think I have it.
You do.
I might have it.
Like it was on your computer? Oh, that would explain why I couldn't find it. Because I was going through the computer I would have had at the time that I still have, but that sounded weird. I don't use that computer anymore, but I still own it. So like I had it open, and I was like, I wonder if I could find these old episodes, and I couldn't. So somewhere out there was our practice recording for this podcast that we intentionally didn't release because we were still working out the kinks, I guess.
This is really weird.
It is weird.
It feels so foreign. Do I look at the camera? Do I just look down? I don't know.
And for those that are not watching the video and just listening to the audio, you'll have to watch the video, I guess.
Yeah.
See how weird this is being in the same room recording a podcast.
Yeah. It's like we're actually friends or something.
All right. Well, let's talk about Big Brother. We just got done watching the live eviction where we saw Riley go home. Unanimous vote. Second week in a row for this season. The unanimous votes. It was also weird watching the episode together and trying to hold up back our takes.
Yeah. There were so many things that I wanted to say, and a couple I just ended. We feel like we can't talk about it at all because we save it for
It's a weird thing, and it's like, I think I appreciate that we don't watch it together sometimes, you know? Just like to get all our takes out in one setting and not have to dance around
honestly.
it. But Riley's gone. I'll start there. Are you surprised, happy that she's out of here?
I mean, not happy. I definitely wanted her to stay. I wanted Cameron. But the entire week, there was some genuine like flip-flopping and going back and forth on what the vote was going to be, which you don't see as genuinely as I think we see. But going into tonight, I think everyone kind of knew.
Yeah, and it's kind of that thing that I've mentioned in previous years now doing this podcast where I think part of watching the live feeds, that's like the give and take and the pros and cons of it, is because you do get to see all that, but then when it gets to eviction day, you know the results. And so watching the episode is rarely exciting anymore because you know what's going to happen. It's just a question of will there be one or two votes the other way.
But we'll always have that one episode where Julie was, we don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, was that Big Brother 21? I think
It was.
that when that big fight broke up.
It was
Everyone-
going between Sam, Kat, I want to say, and Sam almost stayed in. And that was truly moments before the live eviction, they were scrambling. And it even felt like up until the actual vote, like on live TV. So that was exciting.
Yeah,
That's the one time it happened.
but pressure cooker. I feel like that's exciting enough, and I don't want to get hopes too high,
Mhm.
but that's exciting enough to bring up.
Yeah, I agree. That is probably the competition like in Big Brother fandom that I think people would want back. Like if there was like a national vote, like which competition throughout Big Brother history do you want back? I think people would probably vote for that one.
Not OTEP.
What? No, not OTEP.
Not OTEP. Not OTEP. Good point.
Well, because I think like that's part of it is the fact that it's only happened once, and the one time is one of the more iconic HOH reigns. The deal that was made, the backstab, the fact that Kaser, who is now a fan favorite, like went at like there's so much around it that I think hypes it up that I am wondering like will it repeat or is it gonna just now be like oh maybe there were other reasons we liked it rather than the competition itself.
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful. Like I'm excited, but I'm trying to be careful to lower expectations. Also, the Scaryverse twist to it. Honestly, if there's Scaryverse could work.
That was my first thought when I heard about it. I was like, what way are they going to prevent it from going 14 hours? Because I do not see Big Brother in this era allowing that to happen. Like, there's going to be some sort of twist to it. All right, we're back now. First time recording live, and the camera dies out on us.
You didn't put fresh batteries in.
We're learning. And if you're listening to this on audio, again, apologies because all the action's happening on video right now.
Not great.
Okay, so we were talking about pressure cooker. I said my lukewarm take is that it's not going to be 14 hours one way or the other. I don't think it's a hot take at all. It's a really boring take, and I feel like that's just obvious at this point. Agreed?
Yeah, and it feels a lot early. I don't know if that affects it at all, but because Riley's out, and Riley was...
She assembled 8 people and did not include Hisam.
All right, be honest. Do you buy that? Do you think Riley had anything?
I mean, I do in the sense that, like, she was the HOH, and she did, like, I mean, if there was, like, a top 3 of assembling that group, she'd be in it. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's just an easy target, and I don't necessarily, like, blame him initially when it comes down to, like, I need a target. Hey, let me go for last week's HOH, who has an alliance that everyone knows about. Like, it makes sense, but the way that he went about it and the way he kept just hammering home his point over and over, I think that's where it crossed a lot of lines for not just the viewers, but a lot of people in the house, too. So I think, like, that's where you made the mistake. Like, just nominate her, say why, and then just, like, let it be the rest of the week. You don't have to be this hard week 2.
Yeah, we've talked about before. HOH-itis. I think that's my...
A lot of HOH-itis, especially for week 2. And, I mean, like, we saw it. I think, like, this episode specifically really emphasized that because we saw the whole meeting with him and his alliance, the professors, and how, obviously it was edited in a way to, like, emphasize him over speaking and, like, speaking over other people. But it was, like, very uncomfortable. And he's, like, not really letting people have input and pretty much saying, like, okay, this is our target next week. Like, hey, guys, I can't win them all. You're going to have to win, as if, like, the only reason he's not going to win is if he purposely lets them win, which is a little condescending. I get they're old, I get, like, Miss Felicia probably only has so much left in her when it comes to some of those physical comps, but, like, I don't know. He's a lot. Definitely HOH-itis.
Like, everything that he said, he just said it better. It wouldn't have been. If he was like, hey, I think we got to go after Blue. What do you guys think of it? Just presented it as a question. Didn't interrupt when somebody did. Yeah, being like, I can't win them all. Like, I don't think you say that at all. I don't think that you don't want an entire alliance.
No, because you're letting 6 other people know that you're a threat. Like, once you say that out loud, that gives them some ammunition. It's like you said a couple minutes ago where, a lot of times you want to take this little lie or this little ounce of truth and exaggerate it. So it is like, is that true? I don't know, but it's based on something like, so the fact that he said that out loud, that can now be used against him. Or if they weren't thinking about it, now they are because he's drawing attention to the fact that he's won the past 3 competitions, which we do talk about. That's kind of crazy.
That is pretty crazy. I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen people go on runs like I feel like he like it just doesn't feel like anybody can compare right now.
Well, so here's the fascinating thing. I don't know if you noticed this. This is the 3rd season now that the first 2 vetoes were won by the same person. Last season was Michael. 2 seasons ago was Derek X.
Oh.
It didn't happen 3 years ago, but 4 years ago it was Sam. So we could be witnessing some trend in these new seasons. I don't really have a theory yet of why that is.
What could that trend be? That person.
There just tends to be somebody early on that wins a lot of vetoes, specifically the first 2 in a row. But I think for like him this week, he was the only one. I'm trying to remember who else was in it. It was him, the 2 nominees, and then Matt, Blue, and America. So assuming that all of the other 5 would have changed the nomination. So, like, I guess I understand, but I think in his mind, Riley going home was the most important thing. And who are the other comp B? I would say, I don't know. I think, like, sorry, I had to say his name, but, like, Luke has the physical,
build,
that, like, okay, maybe he would have done something. Now you got Riley out, who was at least decent at them. Kirsten, I would actually say might be in the upper 50%, because like when you look at the people left in the house, and again, this is all just assumptions.
We've only seen
Obviously,
2 people win.
your physical build does not mean anything in Big Brother competitions. Like, we know that. But if you want to go for like who are the physical people, like whether they're active or they're built like that, like there aren't a ton of them this season. And so I think
Jared is
that's
one that
that's
Jared
true. I
is-
did not mention Jared. Okay, so I think he'd probably be like the number 1 left. I don't know. I'm just like I'm thinking of like the Professors Alliance specifically. Like I don't see a lot of them lasting on the wall comp necessarily or
No.
stuff like that.
I think it is worth noting. I think if this is Survivor, I think Cameron goes.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. And I think that's part of what makes it again the pros and cons of live feeds, because like this week was very fun watching the flip flop. But then I wonder too, like how often does that happen in Survivor, and we just don't necessarily see it, Because I think like Survivor, you're able to edit it in a way where here's the plan. Oh, here's the wrinkle. Let's flip it, and then last minute, wait, let's flip it this way. Could there be more flip flops back and forth that we just don't see? Where in Big Brother now, because I think like if you were to only watch the episode, they didn't even suggest flipping the vote until tonight's episode. It wasn't on the Wednesday night's episode at all. And so I think if you're watching just as the episode, it's like, oh, wow, they might flip the vote. It's like, oh, they didn't do it, So there is that level that we are kind of robbed of when we watch the feeds and see the flip-flop and just get annoyed by it. Well, let's talk about some of the people then that were kind of in on that, because Suri was definitely one of the front runners of trying to flip it. Along with Izzy, it really was kind of the 2 of them, at least from what I saw on the feeds.
From that side of it.
Yes, correct. Obviously, like Riley's whole gang, like they would have
Corey
done
was
it.
super- Tag was put. Matt was put. They were all fighting.
Yeah, and it honestly, it got to a point, and I do think it might have been Tuesday, I think, where Corey was honestly getting a little annoyed because it kept flipping back and forth because he was in on those conversations. Honestly, a lot of it was Mimi. Like, she was the one, and we saw that into this episode too, where like she was never really on board for it, and there was finally a point where she's like, "Look, I can't keep flip flopping." So, I think there was like a couple people like that who really were just not liking the back and forth. Like, let's just stick with the plan. And so I do think that also kind of scared Serena and Izzy a little bit, where I think they kind of realized like, hey, no one else is like doing these like mental exercises like we are, at least out loud. So maybe we shouldn't be so vocal and let's just stick with a plan. The one thing that was not in any of the episodes this week, which I don't, these are the things where it's like I don't even know if I want to bring up because like there's so many alliances that happen on the live feeds, but this one felt real. But it was an alliance that was formed by Suri, Izzy, Jared, and Corey. Did you see that at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay, see, so and this is where, again, maybe we don't talk about it much because it might be nothing in a couple days. But from what I saw and from people talking online, it seemed like this was going to be something moving forward. It's called the Crossroads. Corey came up with it because he described it as Suri and Izzy from that side of the house, and then Jared and Corey from the other side. Again, not knowing that Jared is. It could be nothing. It feels like something, and I think I kind of like it. And I think a lot of people like it because that is the, like Jared and Corey were the 2 people preseason where people are like, hey, Survivor relations, we like them. And then obviously Suri, then Izzy has just been ball of energy on the feeds, and she's the type of like
Intense.
she games a mile a minute. And so for the people that are just watching on the internet and just wanting to like comment every 30 seconds on like gameplay, like she is gold to everyone
Can't
following.
keep up with her. She's quick.
It's yeah. So I think like that 4 is exciting for a lot of reasons. So it might be nothing though. And I think since I didn't see it in the episode, I'm gonna refrain from talking about it too much, even though I just spent like 2 minutes talking about it. So we gotta talk about Riley. Specifically,
heck of a transition.
there's no way to do it.
So
we gotta do it.
Gotta talk about her.
More specifically, we need to have a conversation about week 1 HOH.
Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay. Because we on this podcast, at least I, and I feel like you've co-signed it, have talked about the benefits of week 1 HOH. The past 3 seasons, 2 seasons ago, Frenchie, week 1, week 2, he's out. Daniel, week 1, it's probably like week 4 or 5. I think it was right before jury, perhaps. He didn't make jury, though. And then this week, Riley, week 1, HOH, week 2, out. You're pulling out some notes. What do you,
No,
what do
I'm
you
not
got to
pulling out
say
notes.
about
I just
this?
want to. I would love to see a list of just.
Okay.
all the
Well,
HOHs.
before you look up the cheat codes, let me just because I did look it up. All right, you can
Okay,
look
so
it in
you
a
have
second.
Okay, I love that.
Well, I don't have. I got it in my mind.
All
Okay,
right.
so before those 3 seasons that I just mentioned, I only looked up until season 10. So like season 10 to season 22. Okay, how many first week HOHs do you think went home before jury?
Let me think. I almost want to go through them. all.
You almost want to go through
I
that.
know 14 for sure did. Pretty sure. I'm going to go with 3.
1.
It was just Willie?
Just Willie.
Only
Willie is
Willie.
the only week 1 HOH that goes home before jury, and I mean the way he goes home wasn't even like normal. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he he probably wasn't gonna go far. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
he got expelled from headbutting
But wait, he was
Joe.
Russell's brother.
It's true, and
B. Russell.
that's true.
Are you kidding me?
The fact that it's happened the past 3 seasons, there's some new trend happening. And I don't know what it is.
Nathan, I have a theory.
Yes, tell me your
And
theory.
it just came to me.
Okay.
I think up until 22, the common wisdom was you don't want to win.
Okay.
I think after that point, I don't think we were the only ones that were saying no. You want to win.
We
Sets
weren't.
you up.
Yeah, a lot of people say
So
that.
I think you see Daniel, you see Frenchie specifically, and so I think they, in the past, would have thrown that competition. But since they did put themselves in that, I'm a huge fan, and I'm ready to play, make these alliances. They go overboard. Whereas, you see other people who aren't in that. Obviously, there's people like Tyler. There's people who are big brother fans that don't do that.
I
But
appreciate
think
the
that might be
pause to
part of it.
separate the big and big.
There was a comma there, maybe.
Okay, so like when you are intentionally trying to win, that almost increases your likelihood to overplay. I would say there's something there to that because I think also if you look at the trend of the past 3 seasons, they all went home for pretty much the same reason. It's all because they tried to build this big alliance too fast. Frenchie,
I would argue with Ryan.
like she didn't try to do it too fast.
No. I think the reason she got sent home is literally just in the fact that word had gotten back.
Yeah, I guess I would define too fast as in week 1, which is also maybe the bigger trend where I think the past couple seasons like we saw so many seasons in a row where it's like you need the big alliance and just steamroll to the end. But I think the bigger trend has been it's always the second big alliance that forms in this.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to be like looked at more so. So it's like week 1, if you're making a big alliance, you should just assume at this point it's gonna fail. And you should try to get in that leftovers, in that what are they calling it this year? Not professors. but- yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it has to be the second round of the scraps, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe the key to that is if you're going to be the week 1 HOH, you almost need to let the alliance come to you, because I think if you look at the people that were week 1 HOHs that did well, I'm thinking of who was I just thinking? I mean, Tyler's a decent example, like he wasn't the mastermind behind level 6 necessarily, but like kind of let them come to him. Same thing happened to Christy, season 21. I had another really good. Oh, McCrae, season 15.
Yeah,
That's a great
McCrae
example.
wasn't searching for it.
No, he was just kind of there,
okay.
and people are just coming, to him. And I think the opposite has happened with these past couple seasons, where, again, I'm not saying Riley was like the head of it as Daniel or Frenchie was, but I think like Riley definitely that was her plan. She's like, I want to be week. Maybe she didn't want. She since I'm week 1 HOH, I want an 8-person alliance. Like that is something she communicated. That's like the danger of like almost need to let it happen naturally, or just wait until round 2.
I want people I trust. You want to have the numbers, but like, I just trying to reach a certain number. And I think in this scenario is probably Jerry, and she couldn't have known that, but never quite knows. You gotta just go with the people who you have a good.
Well, I'm glad we narrowed that down. So we're in agreement then. Week 1 HOH, kind of bad now. Is that the?
No, because I
Hard
think
to
it's
tell.
so dependent on who it is.
Well, obviously, but like I'm just saying the fact that we had over 12 seasons of like consistency outside of Willie, and then just back to back to back, just breaking the rule. It's absurd, and I want someone smarter than me to crunch the numbers and tell me why that's happening, along with the same person winning the first 2 V. What is the correlation there, and what are these modern seasons doing to
We're
ask
seeing
for that?
a trend, and there has to be a reason.
There is always correlation between 2 rising trends. That is a fact.
Do I have a website to show you? I remember a website that's like the sale of margarine. It correlates with the amount of people who died by ridiculous correlations. Anyways, fun website.
Anything ridiculous about that. Okay, I'm pulling up my notes here. Let's see what we gotta talk about. I already talked about Hisam for now. Can we talk about the Nether region for a bit? Do you want to?
We should talk about it.
I would say skip it, other than the fact that there are seemingly powers that come with it. So we saw that because Jared came in 2nd place, he went to the Nether region in the HOH competition, which is also the HOH competition was filmed offset.
Which I kind of liked.
Do you know the reason for that?
No.
Because of the actors and writers strike, because CBS has all these lots now they're not using.
So it's like, oh, might as well.
This people pulled it up on maps because I mean, like the set, I forget what show it's on, but it's a recognizable show. Like it's like, oh yeah, that's the front.
That's this person's house.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And so sure enough, like people pulled up on Google Maps, it's 2 blocks away from the Big Brother lot. So like they're taking them offset to use the CBS lot that is not in use right now because nothing's being filmed. Kind of funny. But because Jared came in 2nd, he goes to the Nether region, which allows him to like talk to them on a screen. The Nether region still like they're not going to show us what it is. I thought they might, but like it's nothing. It literally is nothing.
Out by those houses, that.
I guess. And then the Nether Gorgon.
I like that. That was kind of clever. I'm in on the Nether.
I didn't realize that this was like a Stranger Things play until now.
I don't think it was.
The
Like, what's the
Demogorgon?
common thing?
So-
Demogorgon. Okay, let's do Nether Gorgon.
So that's the only. So they're just doing it because it.
Oh, was there anything else? They weren't wearing.
No, but I mean the Nether region could like. What's the difference between that and the Upside Down? Like it's. Okay. Yes, but. Okay,
If
so
it was the
Jared.
Nether side down, I think
Jared
I'd be
goes
in.
to the Nether region. When he comes back, he has to send someone else. Whoever he sends is safe for that week. That's a plot twist. He decides to send Jag. Jag then comes back, has to send somebody else, and whoever he sends can't play in the veto competition. He sends Bowie. It's also important to note that like the span that all this is happening is so short. Like the HOH competition takes place Thursday night. The veto takes place Saturday. So Jared was maybe gone overnight. Jag was maybe gone a couple hours before he came back. So like they're not even gone for long. It's just like transferring this power to this power.
It has the potential to be interesting, but it's kind of boring because nobody wants to step on toes.
The weird thing about both of the send someone to the nether region. Jared was put in this position where Hisam's like, hey, save any one of like these people. Like just don't save, blah 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 blah. So Jared's like, okay, I'm not gonna save Riley, make him happy. I'm gonna save Jack instead. Hisam noticed that. He was like, wait, what are you doing? Like that's not what I wanted you to do. And the same thing to Jack. Hisam's like, hey, you should get Blue to not play in the veto. And then Jag is like, oh, I got this smart plan that I'm going to play the middle and, not let this person play. And that's not what Hisam wanted. That's not what Riley wanted.
Literally not appeasing anyone.
No, and I think that's a great example in lessons. Like, if you try to do that, especially in this game, like, I'm not going to pick a side. Like, people pick up on that, and everyone noticed. It was so obvious. And so, if nothing else, I'm excited that the Nether region is at least going to force people to have to make decisions like that publicly every single week. Like, show your cards somewhat.
Yeah, sorry, this goes back to Hisam a little. It's outrageous of him to be like, I am making this decision. Like, you don't get to make that decision. You get most of the other decisions. You don't get that one. I just wanted them to vote against him. They would do it. I want them to do that once.
And I think that was, like, the most exciting part is that we potentially could have seen that this week. And that was also fascinating. I don't know how much you keep up with, like, the online Big Brother community. I'm, like, very on it because I now stay at home with a kid, and so very much on Twitter in the mornings, keeping up on what happened in the feeds the night before. Also, shout out to the Big Brother TikTok world. Follow us on TikTok, by the way. But the Big Brother TikTok's going off.
Yeah.
I'll give you the login to our account. It's great. Well, I just log into our podcast account, and now our whole feed is just Big Brother content, and it's like it's a different. I don't know. Like I was keeping up with. I'm also in like Big Brother Facebook groups, and so like every site is so different in the way they react to things, and like who they're rooting for. So now I got a fourth one on top of Reddit.
Yep.
Like it's fantastic. But anyways, it was so interesting seeing like the swing of emotions because at first I think people were kind of excited for Hisam just because like people are naturally rooting for Cerise's side. It was like, yay, no more big alliance that started week 1. Like we like Cerise. But then Hisam started talking. Everyone's like, oh, man, we don't like him. He's a bully. And they were rooting for this vote to go through to blindside the HOH because that's something I think a lot of people have wanted for a long time is like, yes, once veto happens, the HOH is not in charge anymore. No say, no power. He's actually the weakest one there outside of the 2 people on the block. And so people wanted that. But then I think when people started to put 2 and 2 together, like, hey, this isn't the best for Cerise's game, then they're like, wait, Cerise's making a bad move. And so it was like the back and forth of it all of like, it was so confusing to see, like, what do people want right now? And I still don't know. I think like for team good live feeds, would have been great to have him blind. I mean, he's not going to win this game. Will he make jury?
Which makes me think, America being like, hey, he came to me.
I called it last week. I still like America a lot.
So it was a perfect storm to try to hurt him, but people are scared of him. That's the biggest issue. You don't want to be the one to take that shot.
Yeah, it's true. And I think they mentioned this, but like a backdoor is the correct move. Because you don't want to get him mad before he has to play a veto. So if there's a position where, I think the best way would be someone from his alliance so that he's feeling all safe when he's going into the veto. Maybe he doesn't play in it. Maybe he doesn't try so hard to minimize his target, and then you go for him. That's got to be the move. But I mean, like, he's got to be the number 1 target in the house right now, right? Like, who else are people targeting? It feels like everyone is somewhat united against him. Even though they're aware of the 2 alliances. Like, people are fully aware, hey, these are the 2 sides of the house. Oh, but we all agree that he's the worst. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's crazy that it's not the person who played Survivor for him. Is that biggest.
Yeah.
I understand Cerise's not a big comp beast. I'm aware. But still, you got to be worried about that.
Like, no one's even talked about her. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of people talked about, but like, especially like, I don't think she's been mentioned at all. Of like, hey, what if we do this?
To be fair, nobody's been in power to.
Yeah, you're right.
Hisam wouldn't target her last week. Riley got to take the down, didn't get. So she hasn't really been under fire.
Yeah.
Or in any, which is I think why she was the one driving the ship. I think if it flipped, she would have been the one that was blamed. Hisam would have. So I think ultimately it was good for her.
And there was an extra layer to it that she did too. I don't know if it was. I want to say it might have been maybe a little earlier, where she did have a conversation with Hisam, letting him know that there was potentially going to be a flip, and that it was shut down. And from what I can tell, she was the first one to deliver that news to him. Great move, cause
A win.
yeah, she at least has that. So she's in a good position.
Yeah.
She's in a real good position. I got one other thing. I do want to talk about the veto, and because it's
I wanted to talk about that too.
okay. Well, let's talk about Matt now then.
Yeah, let's do it.
In that listing, and we'll run through any house guests we didn't talk about.
So is he? I guess I don't know. Is he entirely deaf or is he hard of hearing? Not that it changes much. But.
He is legally deaf, but that means a lot of things. And so, from what I can tell, he can still hear certain frequencies. So it's
Okay.
not like he can't hear anything at all. Okay. Like, yes, he relies mostly on reading lips. So what I know about this is that on Saturday, when they have the video competition, the feeds were off for 15 hours, which is an absurd amount of time. That never happened. So when this was happening, people were making jokes about the pressure cooker. Is this a pressure cooker competition? And then when the feeds came back on, we saw Hisam won. They were talking about everyone's times. So then everyone's like, oh, it was a timed competition. It must have gone really long. Because again, that doesn't happen for a veto competition.
Mm-hmm.
Then it started to come out on the feeds that it was a lot because of Matt. Because he struggled. They were trying to help him. But any time that he started to talk about the competition, the feeds were cut. So the feeds, we know very little about what happened.
They're really trying to hide.
They were really trying to hide what happened. Then, Wednesday afternoon, hours before the episode aired with the competition, there was an article that came out interviewing a Big Brother producer about how much they were doing to accommodate Matt on this Big Brother. I don't know if you read the article at all.
No, I saw that it was there, but I didn't read.
Yeah, so that was essentially it. It was
like patting themselves on the back for how much they.
Yes, and all the the Facebook community is all for the article. Like they bought it. Like somebody in one of the groups wrote like oh, it's not fair that they made Matt do this here, and then someone just linked the article like, no, you're wrong. Look at Big Brother's been helping him, and so like the article was clearly released that day to be like how Big Brother helped accommodate their first deaf contestant. Then when we saw the episode, for the first time that I can remember, they did not show everyone's times. They only showed the top 3 times. And that's so that wraps it all up, is that the times were insanely fast. Hisam won with like 140 or something, a minute 40 seconds. The other people had like 2 minutes.
How long was that in there?
Why
And
did
they
it
just
take 15 hours?
Maybe they just kept it off.
Yeah, I mean, something happened in those 15 hours that like the
That felt real conspiracy. Did anybody else get that? Something happened in that 15 hours.
I'm just saying, they cut feeds when a house guest gets expelled for a racial slur.
That's true.
And now they're doing it for a competition that
Yeah.
like clearly did not take a full 15 hours to do. It's so weird, and it's so just like, what are we doing? Because Matt has expressed time and time again on the feeds how hard it is for him, how he's struggling in the competitions, but anytime he starts to say that, the feed's cut, and it's like, why are we trying to like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answer is, because it's like, do you just not have any deaf people on the show? Is that like that's a bad solution?
Something to like think about though, because so much of Big Brother is you don't see Big Brother's always watching. Producers will talk to you. How do you do this? Like, how do you have these challenges? How do you do these competitions? Unless they have somebody in the house that can translate. I don't know. There's just not a good way to do it.
No, and it's especially weird because I think the the more conspiracy decision they could have made is like if they knew this veto competition was coming up, could rig it so his name a hat.
Nobody
fraud.
would have quite.
No, people would have been like, "Oh, thank God he didn't get picked for this veto competition."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I guess they were honest in that way. You know, it just seems like they're dishonest in the way that he's struggling with it. I mean, the fact that they were able to accommodate Christmas, help her win a running competition for HOH when couldn't use leg, or they could do something.
I don't think production did that. I feel like that was the players that did that.
No, but the fact that like I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
They gave her a way to compete in everything. So like just don't do this competition based on audio. Just don't do it. Like just don't. You knew that he was going to be a contestant for a long time. Could have done different competition. Really, really could have.
They probably planned it and were just like, well, I hope they don't pull Matt. Like you said, just don't put his name.
They had to have the scramble verse though.
Then Riley would have gotten house guest.
Yeah, which she has every
So
right
no
to
matter
do
what.
because he's a player and she's expecting him to be able to compete. The fair expectation, you know? Whatever. Okay, so that's Matt.
That's Matt. I like Matt. Matt seems like such a great.
I'm worried about Matt, but yeah. Who else did we not talk about? We talked about Suri enough. I think we talked about Hisam. Miss Felicia, I don't have a lot on other than I just still like her.
Yeah, she seems like a lot of fun. A little overconfident.
She's overconfident, but not in a way that I think any other house guest is going to be bothered by.
Yeah, that's true.
America, we touched briefly on. I still like. I've been warming up to Blue as well.
That's honestly who's on my mind. Yeah, he's wild. I just don't hate. I think that's where I'm at. Like I just don't dislike it as.
Similar to America, I think she has the game smarts that are necessary, and she's not overly involved in. I think a lot of this like central drama, which to me screams like second round alliance. You know, like if she makes it another week or two, which there's no reason for me to believe that she's gonna be a target next week. You know, like why can't she form something? He did, but he's not in control. You know, so I think I'm kind of excluding him.
Assuming that he'll convince. Yeah.
You still like Jag?
Yep.
Like Jag, I don't got much on Jag.
Like we said, he definitely. When it's just so obvious, trying to pick a side. If he picked Riley, it would have been fine. That's it. No, he wouldn't.
He couldn't have picked her.
It would have been picking.
Riley wanted him to pick
Red.
Red.
Honestly, if he did that, nobody can be mad about it.
No, and Hisam would. Nobody would have been mad about that. Hisam wouldn't have had any power to do so. Like yeah, but I don't know. I'm very curious where like him and I'm especially Cameron. Let's talk about Cameron because I don't know like what does he do because I think like I don't feel like they're overly connected to let's say like Blue and Matt. Like it felt like Riley was the glue for a lot of those people because it felt like Riley might have been Jack's number one. Riley might have been Matt's number one. And so now that Riley's gone, like, do they connect? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was a connection there. I think Cameron, yeah, his only connection was Riley. I think he honestly wanted to jump ship.
Link up with Red.
Yeah, link up with Red a little bit.
Which I'll just say I got nothing to say about Red. Non-existent this
There.
week. No issue with him. Not involved in the edit at all. Any other thoughts on Jared?
I like Jared. I genuinely like Jared. Nervous that it's a win, and then gonna be discredited.
That's fair.
Do I think he's gonna win? Not necessarily.
I was gonna say I'm not concerned about him winning at all.
No?
I have a lot of doubts. I don't know. I just have not seen him do anything that shows me he carries the family smart gameplay. And maybe I have too high of expectations on him. That's actually probably what's happening here. But there are a lot of times where I've thought to myself, like, if Suri wasn't here, would he be in this position at all? Like, has he done anything to further his position outside of her? I just don't know. Corey, I've warmed up on him in the sense of I feel like he's in a better position. I liked him initially. Like last week, I was like, I like Corey. Very worried about Corey because it didn't feel like he was in. But now it feels like he is slowly establishing himself within alliances, establishing all these relationships, and I think he's just on a good trajectory, like forward. So yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned the alliance that seems like part of now. It's great. Talking game, I think low when he needs to, so I have high hopes for him. Left Mimi, and she's another one of these people. Like it's week 2, so we haven't really seen enough, but like I think there's something there, and I think by week 3 or 4 we'll have a much better idea of like, does she have what it takes going with this? Could she lay low, not be a target? That could be really good. I just had someone else to talk about. Left. There was somebody though. Oh, there's somebody. Izzy. I mean, we did talk about her a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like her. Feeds gold right there. Like it's great.
The clip that they showed in the show tonight, like leaning over right in Felicia's,
Yeah.
and like wide eyes and like staring and like this, like so animated.
She is the loudest whisperer I've ever heard, and it is so I can't get enough of it. It's insane. Just like go on literally open up the feeds any time of day, and she's doing that. She's in someone's face whispering so loud. It is so funny.
I want her to be the.
Oh my goodness.
That'd be
Just,
so much.
I mean, her as HOH in general would just be so chaotic. That everyone? Bowie? Nothing to say. What did she say to Julie in her vote? It was something just overly Australian.
I don't know. You made a comment about it, and
Oh, it was good day.
oh,
She goes, "Good day, Julie." I was like, okay.
remember me? I'm Australian.
She is this year's Jasmine, trying to over her accent. Like anytime she's in the DR, it just comes out. Yeah, how on command when it came to the diary room, there was like something that she traveled through. You look cuter than a pecan pie on the 4th of July. Nobody talks like that. Stop doing it.
No
But
one thinks it's cool.
I don't know. Maybe Bowie says good day just naturally, but it's like, what are the stereotypes that an Australian person has? Can I just do those again and again? America's gonna love it. Like, sure. I don't know. What would you like if you were on a foreign season of Survivor, or like an international? Would there be like an American phrase like that you would try to, like how would you do that? Like, oh, I'm gonna be so overly American in the diary room.
I would always say, "God bless the USA."
That's true.
Fuck
America.
Guns. We love guns. Just every time, like, Tony, what's your vote? I'm proud to be an American. Just start singing.
All right, is that everyone we talked about? No, we got them all. All right, is that all we got? Anything else?
I think that's it.
We did it.
We did it.
The camera's still rolling, so we
High
did it.
five.
That's never happened. All right, for more episodes, notgameallpersonal.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere listen to podcasts, Twitter,
That
Instagram,
was perfect timing.
TikTok, at NGAP Pod. At NGAP Pod. Follow us on TikTok. It's a good time over there.
And roasted.
Getting roasted. Blowing up. All right. I'm Nathan. This is Tony. We'll see you next.
Hey. Love one another.